Welcome to Landwards, the podcast for the land-based engineering community, brought to you by the Institution of Agricultural Engineers.
Welcome to the Landwards podcast, and I am joined today by the incoming Institution of Agricultural Engineers President, Mr. Kit Franklin. Hello, Kit. Welcome.
Hello, Andy. How are you getting on today?
Oh, just lovely. Just lovely. And all the better for having you on the Landwards podcast today.
Well, I feel like I should say namaste, actually, because I'm recording a podcast.
Not on this one. Not on this one, but I'll let you get away with it. You are in a novel position in that this is not your first Landwards podcast recording. So we're here for a very specific reason today, which is really for you to set out your presidential agenda. But before we get to that, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, maybe a minute, to just give us a real quick who's Kit Franklin backstory about where you've got to, and then let's go from there. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, so I'm going to do it. Yeah, set my chess timer going. I'm from Cirencester, where I was brought up on a family farm. Was good at maths and science and design, and I liked design as a child. I used to draw buildings. I was quite interested in architectural design initially, and I had a drawing board when I was about 10 years old, and I used to draw buildings and things. Was quite dyslexic. We talked about that last time I came on the pod back in the pandemic, Andy. I remember recording that in my garden shed at the time, avoiding everybody. Basically, when I heard of Harper Adams and heard of this course called Agri Engineering, I thought, well, that mingles and matches my abilities at science and maths and my passion for design. So that seemed to be the course of action for me. So off I went to Harper Adams after, battling through my GCSEs and A-levels and whatever. And which I loved. I loved Harper Adams. I think I've said a million times that I went in there thinking I wanted to leave to design the next generation of big, shiny tractors, and probably thought I wanted to go and work for JCB and Fast Track, I suspect, when I was 18, if you'd asked me. But by the time I left, I found this passion for agriculture as much as I had a passion for the machines involved in agriculture. Got really interested by the ideas around autonomous farming and how we could farm with smaller, lighter, autonomous and precise machinery going forward in the future. So I stayed around at Harper Adams as a research assistant, then became a lecturer. I ran the project called Hands-Free Farm, which was the world's first field to grow a hectare of crop using only autonomous machines, and you can ring your bell there, Andy. Now I'm back home in Cirencester, working part-time for Harper Adams, finding myself as president of the IAgrE, and podcasting a little bit on the side, all about ag eng and agri-tech with my good friend Ray. So that's probably a good as anything summary of who Kit Franklin is, I'd say.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kit. So back to the matter in hand. You are now the president of the Institution of Agricultural Engineers. How did you get involved, and what drove you to want to support the institution?
Well, probably you got me involved to some degree, Andy. It was maybe not you very, very initially. I remember Rob Merrill was was supervising, I should say, a project I was working on as a researcher at Harper Adams, and he was, I think, probably president-elect of IAgrE at the time. And the AGM, or a council meeting, I can't quite remember the right one, was being held at Harper, and Rob said, I want you to come to this council meeting, Kit, as a guest, and I want you to speak your mind and say what you think. And really, he set me up for like a kipper, because there I went into that meeting and I said a few things, maybe slightly outspoken, and you pulled me to you pulled me to the side at the end and said, obviously I was a member of IAgrE, I should say, obviously I'm a passionate agricultural engineer, always was, that was what I wanted to do, and I maintained my membership after graduation. Obviously I was a student member, but I maintained it as a graduate. But yeah, from the point when I walked out of that meeting and you grabbed me and said, you've got a lot to say for yourself, you should probably join the council and be a bit more formal with your opinions. And yeah, that's that's now probably 12 years ago or so. Ever since then, I've, obviously went through being on council, went onto the executive, and in that time I've tried to be I guess at the start I was the younger voice. I'm not really a younger voice anymore, I should think. I'm solidly mid-30s now, so I'm not particularly a young voice anymore. But at the first I was, and now I just try to be a voice of enthusiasm and positivity. And really, as I say, I'm passionate about AgEng, and I want our membership to grow and incorporate a lot of these people who are out there in our industry working in AgEng who don't have a home with us at the moment. And I'm just passionate about trying to get those people in and for our community to grow. Does that make some sense?
That's a really, really well thought out proposition for why you're an IAgrE member and why you want to support agricultural engineering as a discipline. And I think for a lot of us listening, we will resonate with that desire, and it does it does reinforce why we get stuck in and support our professional family. Really. The purpose of today was for you to talk about your agenda. So as president, I wanted to give you the opportunity to just, spell out what you'd like to achieve as president, what you think is important to us as an institution, and how you're going to help us. How's that sound?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think firstly, if the Secretariat like it or not, I plan to be quite hands-on. As I said, I don't have full-time employment. I do have a busy life. I am involved with the farm at home, and I work a couple of days a week for Harper, and I also have attachments in America and to a university there. So I'm kind of being pulled in all directions, but I don't have a 9 to 5, 5 days a week. So I hope that means that I can be quite active as president, and I can actually get stuck in helping the Secretariat with some of the things they're doing. If we jump back to, I think I was the first, I might be wrong with this, but I might have been the first president who was properly elected in our new democratic system. Maybe I was
you're the result of democracy, Kit.
Yeah. I might be wrong with that. Mark might have been elected too, maybe before me. But anyway, for the election that I went for, obviously, to be elected, you have to have previously been a vice president, which I'd been for a couple of years at the time, and I put my name forward to be president. I wrote about how I wanted, to improve the efficiency of the networking opportunity of IAgrE. So the fact that, we have over 1,000 members, they're all doing interesting and, highly expert things. But at the moment, it's maybe a little bit sticky to try and find a contact within that. Obviously, we all have our sort of sub-networks within it, and I'm sure we all know a group of members, be that people we work with, people who go to the same branch that we do, etc. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to get across that membership a bit better? So there's something I wrote, 2 and a bit years ago now about, wouldn't it be great that with our new website that was being promised at the time and is now about to come to delivery, I'm led to believe, we're waiting on that, but in the next couple of months, hopefully we should see a new website. And on that new website, hopefully there is going to be a improved way that we can find each other as members. So just to nod back to what I promised 2 years ago, I will make sure that comes to fruition. That's something I want to really make sure that we as members can find other members as efficiently, as effectively as possible as a starting point. So then, beyond that, really is this idea that, well, I'm going to be really honest, Andy. I'm going to be really honest. We have a membership that is slowly, not drastically, but slowly diminishing, i.e. more people leave us a year, mostly not through any sort of malicious reason, normally due to the fact that, sadly, they've come to the end of career and therefore they're stopping their membership with us. And we have more people leaving than we do coming in, and it's not we're not going to run out of members tomorrow, but we might run out of members in 15 years. And I would like IAgrE to exist, for another 90. I think we're coming up to 90 years. So it'd be nice to think we could last for another 90. So in order to do that, we do need to grow our membership. And in order to grow our membership, we need to really show the world what it is to be an ag engineer and what it is to find your home as an ag engineer within the IAgrE. So there's a couple of things we can do about that and a couple of things we are doing about that. So one is making sure we use our members to tell their own stories and use that member's voice to essentially talk to the world, use modern techniques like, LinkedIn seems to be the place these days for professional talk. But can we highlight our members and highlight the sorts of ideas and the diversity of our members critically from civil type engineering with soil, like water and drainage and irrigation, through to AI and data and everything mechanical and hydraulic and whatever in between, which is probably where I sit really. But can we highlight the ideas, the thoughts and the skills of those engineers through these sort of social channels to basically spark a realization in some other people that they are one of us and they might want to join the team. So that's one thing we're doing. And I say particularly we're doing that under a new sort of branding that is perspectives. So IAgrE Perspectives. The other thing we're doing is we are starting to generate some positions as IAgrE, whereby when some policy or a sort of policy announcement would come out from government or from DEFRA or something like that, we will try to come up with a timely response to that. This isn't going to be overtly political, and we're not going to try and have a huge axe to grind, but the response is going to be more about reminding these people that ag engineers should be around the table when you are trying to implement new policy, and we're often forgotten about. So that's like two ways in which we're going to certainly actively at the moment try and show our worth to the rest of the world and hopefully make people want to come and join us and join what we're doing. Does that make some sense, Andy?
I think that's great. I think it's a really clear statement of direction, which is is refreshing, because it's just good for us to be reminded what we're about and what we can do to help with that.
I guess can I just follow up quickly and say the axe that I'm really grinding with that is that we have this agri-tech community now. So we have a lot of people out there who see themselves as agri-tech, and at the moment we're not great at bringing them into IAgrE. So they're the real key target audience for me. The other thing I think we need to do, and I'd like to start thinking about, and we have to is looking at how do we get the young and youthful people into our colleges and universities to study ag eng and study ag eng aligned courses, because that's also a struggle, and we as IAgrE need to help that struggle. There is initiatives like the We Are Land Based that's mostly been sort of spearheaded by the AEA, and we can support them with that. But I think we need to also think and consider ways in which we can hopefully promote young people into the subject area from sort of school leavers, etc. So that's something else we need to get on and have a think about too.
Agreed. We spend a lot of time staring at our navels, worrying about the next generation of agricultural engineers, and rightly so. And we have experienced in our own lives the light bulb moments around the passion we've had, whether it was Britain's Farm Toys, Lego Technic, drawing boards, whatever, taking motorbikes to bits. But to try and harness that curiosity at a young age and go, this is a really stimulating, meaningful, powerful career is a great thing. Just sort of, and finally, given I'm mindful of time, give me what you see has changed in your time as an agricultural engineer.
Well, I think I'm going to reflect on something that's really obviously close to what I'm known for, which is ag automation. And I think I'm just going to reflect upon how quickly life ticks over and how quickly technologies can become ubiquitous. So I guess when I went to Harper Adams, or 2008 as an 18-year-old, RTK sort of driverless technology, so real-time kinematic, so super accurate GPS systems on your tractor were really kind of a burgeoning technology. It'd been around for maybe 5 years, and now and would have cost many tens of thousands potentially. Just recently, I bought myself a robotic lawnmower that's actually working outside my window as I speak. I managed to pay £1,400 for my robotic lawnmower that came with an RTK system and is accurate to 20 millimeters. So twice a week, my lawn is mowed to 20 millimeter accuracy using RTK. So in my career, which is sort of, I'm only mid-career currently, and in less than 20 years, we've gone from a technology that was really, really space age, really, really cutting edge, cost a lot of money, to now a consumer-based product. So for me, 20 years has passed, and 20 years is not a short amount of time, but it's flown by in my lifetime, and it's just that thought of, technologies that are sort of bleeding edge now, give it 20 years, where might we be? And I think that's where, some of the ideas around automation, where we've got real early adopters of autonomous farming systems, well, maybe in 20 years, that's going to be maybe a slightly more ubiquitous thing.
Okay, so I'm going to turn that round now, Kit, and say what's stayed the same, or what are the big themes which haven't gone away?
Okay, I'm really passionate about this one, Andy. The really big theme, the passionate thing that has not gone away, is that doesn't matter how much tech there is, doesn't matter how much RTK there is, how much AI there is, in agriculture, if we're going to interact with the field environment, we need a mechanical machine to do that job. We need some ironwork to hang it off. And that ironwork requires a skilled engineer to design. And that engineer is an agricultural engineer, because they tend to need an understanding of both the operational environment as well as that mechanical design. So there was a few years where all I was ever told is, the mechanical doesn't matter. It's all the smarts, it's all the code. That's what matters. Well, the code and the smarts don't do anything unless there's a reliable, well-designed, well-conceived machine to hang it off. And I realise I'm talking very much to the mechanical side of our membership here, and I should be reflecting upon the sort of more civil soil water side. But I think the same thing could be applied. You could have a super funky soil moisture probe, but unless you're doing the fundamental farm system development, that's pointless. So yes, it's great to move with the times. Yes, it's great to think that AI and high tech is the thing that we all need to be learning, all need to be teaching our students. Fundamentally, we're not going to. You're always going to need those fundamental, more mechanical, more civil skills and civil parts of our spectrum of membership.
Yeah. So the nuts and bolts, for want of a better word.
We're going to need the nuts and bolts and spades and soil. That's never going to go away, despite how much tech you bolt to it.
Because the tech is controlling the interface, but the interface is all important.
Yeah,
that's the thing which does the work.
We operate in a physical world, and the physical part cannot be overlooked. And again, I travel around universities around the world in my career, having been an academic, and you see really clever people doing really clever tech design, but often the mechanical part, you go, have you actually ever visited a field? Because I'm not sure that's going to work out for you. So yeah, let's not underplay that physical part.
Brilliant. Couldn't have put it better myself. That's fantastic, Kit. Thank you very much. Obviously, the "and finally" is in Desert Island Discs terms as the light bit to leave us with a wry chuckle as we leave. So my question I had actually put to you was, tell us something about yourself which we don't know. You may scratch your head with that, but I'm going to give you a try.
Yeah, so I would think I'm a pretty open book. So I think, if you can search the internet about me, you'll probably find everything I've ever done. But I've just built a house. That's been quite a cool thing to have done. I like motorbikes. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'll tell you what Desert Island Discs are like instead, Andy.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. I'm quite happy. I understand you're a big fan of status quo, so that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, let's go. What would I go for? Design this now. And actually, you've put me on the spot. I reckon Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue. There you go. That's a curveball. That's something that people wouldn't think about me.
I like that.
That's something you wouldn't realise about me. I really like rock music and electronic dance music, but I do have an awfully soft spot for Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. So there you go. That's something that no one would know about me.
And at 5 o'clock on a Friday, when the sun's setting at the bottom of the garden, you can put it on either your reel-to-reel or your vinyl player and go and get something with a ring pull or a bottle top out of the fridge and sit there and go, it's Friday night.
Well, I think Rhapsody in Blue might require the sipping of a martini or something like that, actually.
Well, possibly. Yeah, you're a bit more sophisticated, though, than us rough northern types. So, I'd expect no less of you.
Down in the Cotswolds.
Yeah, well, us Cumbrians would just be happy, as I say, with a ring pull and, something which wasn't that flat, to be honest. Let's put it that way. Well, look, IAgrE President Kit Franklin, thank you so much for your insight today. It's been a real pleasure listening a little bit more about your plans for your time as president. I wish you well in the role, and thanks again, Kit.
Yeah, can I just say, Andy, obviously, we're the Secretariat as a whole and myself are an open door, so please come to us with your thoughts and opinions, and there's obviously formal channels for that, but a chat or an email or whatever is also always helpful. So we want everyone to come on the journey with us. Let's say that.
Final words from Kit Franklin there. Thank you, Kit.
For more information, visit www.IAgrE.org. You have been listening to Landwards, the podcast for the land-based engineering community, brought to you by the Institution of Agricultural Engineers.